So in this video, I want to break down what our exact fulfillment process looks like. Now, the purpose of this video is obviously not to hide anything, is to show you, give you an insider's perspective on how we are running our business and the actual production line or fulfillment process that we use to literally generate millions a year in revenue. Now, this production line or this fulfillment system is will mostly be relevant to B2B businesses that are offering a service. So agencies or maybe whatever service it is, whether it's ads, funnels, websites, any kind of B2B service related offer. And it took us a while to figure this out, but once optimized, this system prints cash. Not because this, first of all, a couple of reasons why. The process itself becomes the offer, okay? Selling ads is not special. Selling back-end infrastructure is not a brand new idea, right? Building CRMs and funnel ecosystems is not a new idea. That's what we do, right? I'm not saying we invented it. I'm saying that's what we do. And this is what we're using this for. But this process, now it may not be novel, but the process becomes the product. You're selling the method, the process. So we basically turn to all this, we call it the GoFunnels method. Yeah. And we're selling the methodology. But what makes the method unique to each business? That's what separates us from any other business or competitor that we have. And that is the data. So this is just a framework, right? What differentiates this framework is the data inputs. So in our case, we've worked with over 500 plus brands, doing anywhere from 500K a year in revenue to 50 million, 100 million a year. In fact, our biggest active client right now is doing 100 million a year in revenue. We have worked with big brands you probably all know, right? So Alex Hormozi's gym launch that he sold for $40 million. Patrick Bet-David and Valuetainment. Brian Tracy University, right? Lisket, and the names go on and on and on. So we have accrued data. We know based on these 500 brands we've worked with, we've easily in total built over 2,000 plus like individual systems, right? Like funnels, automations, this, that, the other. It comes from maybe 2,000 plus, maybe more at the time of recording this video. And we've taken all that accrued data and we have fed it into this framework. So now when we go through each step in this framework, it is backed by data. What we do is backed by data. So that is really the thing that will stop someone like you who's watching this video from basically doing the exact same thing, but not being a competitor, because our data will always be different to yours, right? So that's why this is something that can be licensed or can be built for many businesses. But at the end of the day, it will be individual to the business because of the inputs that you put into it. So this is more like a framework. So let me walk you through this production line. Now, the reason we call it a production line is because when we close a client, they can only go straight. Or in this case, they can only go down from top to bottom, right? Now, we've done it where there is 7 stages. I know it says 6, but there's actually 7 because we decided to call the first stage 0. Why? Because we didn't think about it until later on, and by then we already gave onboarding stage 1 and we were too far into it. So we just called sales stage 0. Anyway, call it whatever you want, name it however you want, number it however you want, but these are the main ones. And again, this is built to our needs, okay? So how we've set it up, what each stage does is relevant to our needs. It may be different depending on the type of service you're offering and how you want to name it and who your industry you're attacking is. So stage 1 in the production line, sales and handover, okay? So this is after the point of the close, not before, it's not sales, none of that. This is the handover stage. Once a lead or a client has been closed, what are all the systems and processes happening to get them from a closed client to the handover so that the ops team can officially take over? And now it's not a sales problem anymore, it's an operations problem. So this is the sales stage. So over here, we have the handover document, okay, as you can see. So the handover document is produced and it is given to the onboarding team. as you can see, there's a PLM. This is what we call a production line manager. So each client will get their own assigned production line manager whose job is to ensure that they are fully flowing through the production line seamlessly without any issues. So the sales happens, that's stage one. The closers will generate the handover document based on the call transcripts and any other details they have about the call. And then they will provide that to the onboarding team. And that lead has moved on to stage two, which is onboarding. Now, stage two onboarding, what happens is once a lead has been handed over, they're obviously going to be added into the Slack channels. And then we're going to send them the calendar so they can schedule an onboarding call. Now, a couple of things are happening over here. As you can see, there's a bit of forks. Pre-onboarding, so before the actual onboarding call, there will be an internal document and an external document that is produced. The internal document is the pre-onboarding call information. So that could be things like the handover document, plus any questions or any information we need to get right, or any questions we may want to ask on that onboarding call, just to kind of align properly. Then the second one is an external document. This is basically the same as the internal, but presented in a way that's easy for the client to see. So it's like a slideshow maybe of like, okay, these are the questions we have, this. Just a visual representation that will be easy for the client to digest. We don't want them to see the internal document. That's all just like a bunch of text and a bunch of internal lingo that they'll never get, and it's just going to confuse them. So this is all generated pre-onboarding. Then the onboarding call happens. Then we have the post-onboarding report. What is that? Once the onboarding happens, all these inputs, so this is an input, and then the transcript from the onboarding call, that's the second input, that all gets put into our AI, and the AI will spit out a post-onboarding report. Why do we need that? Because that basically allows us to get a good understanding of what happened in the onboarding call, and if there were any differences or changes from when we closed them, or if there was any information that needs to be updated. And like the final alignment is basically in this report. All right, once this is done, the lead is ready to be moved into game plan, or the client now, because they're a client, is ready to be moved into game plan. So this is the second stage. Now, game plan, the point of this stage is we're taking all the inputs. So we're taking the post-onboarding report, we're taking the sales call transcript, and we're giving it to our AI. This is our custom AI we've built with its own knowledge base and everything. And the AI will spit out a game plan doc. Now, this is where things get, this is what I said, this is where now it becomes intellectual property and it becomes more personal to the business, because the framework for this game plan document, how it builds this game plan doc, like how it lists all the deliverables of what we're going to do. Like we're going to build this funnel, that funnel, that funnel. We're going to build this automation, that automation. And then it's given, each deliverable its own line item code, and it's assigned to the team members already. Like it's a full-on blueprint that's generated. All that is done through our data. Like all the deliverables we've ever built is already, documented. Who it's going to is documented. How long it'll take is already documented. These are things we already documented before, AI happened. We used AI to help us as well. But like this is basically like, think of this as a Claude project folder with a knowledge base inside it. And we're giving these inputs to the game plan, and then it's spitting out two outputs. Internal, which is the internal game plan document, which is like a full-on SOP, a full-on blueprint of every single thing that needs to happen from start to finish for this client and how to do it. And then the external document, which is, again, client-facing. We're not going to give the clients a full SOP. They're going to literally lose their mind trying to read it, and they're not going to get anything. But what we can do is we can break it down into a nice visual slide that breaks the 4 core functions of what we're going to do for them. So for example, for every business, what are we selling? What is like the GoFunnels method? We're going to build them the front-end systems they need to capture leads. We're going to build them the back-end systems, which is their pipeline and CRM systems. We're going to build them the reactivation. We're going to build them the AI. So those are the 4 systems. So the game plan breaks those 4 down in a visual way they can see. So, okay, this is the front-end systems. This is what we're going to build. Back-end systems. This is what we're going to build. Reactivation. This is what we're going to do. AI. This is what we're going to do. Easy and digestible, so they can see it. But in the back end, it's all SOPs and lingo and all that stuff. So now we wait for the client to give us an approval on the game plan, okay? When we get an approval, one thing to note is from this point on, from stage 3 up until stage 5, there's no going back. There's no changes to the scope. Once the game plan is approved, the scope is locked in. There is no changes happening. We are only moving forward to the finish line. That's why it's a production line, okay? So design. What we're doing here, the design team is obviously coming in to do all the funnel design, the website design, any content, assets, copy, all that kind of stuff, okay? That is being generated here in stage 3. And the output, again, there's always internal and external. Internal being like internally for the team, external being client facing. So the internal one is the handover document to the development team. So this is telling the development team, okay, this is all the designs I've built, the links to them, the Figma design files, this is for you. And then for the client, the external output is, here's a preview of what the landing pages are going to look like. Now, we're not trying to get the approval. We're not trying to tell them to give us like huge feedback or change this, that, the other, because then we're not experts, right? The whole point is we're building what we know you need, right? So these are your designs. If you have any critical flaws you've seen, specifically like copy, or it's not, talking about the offer in a way you wanted to, fine. But in terms of the design, the structure, we don't need that input. We already know what we're building for you. Everything is backed by data of 500 plus multi-million-dollar businesses and 2,000 plus builds. And in terms of just building funnels in general across the team, we've easily passed the 5,000 landing page and funnels built mark, easily. So we know what we're talking about here. We don't need your input in terms of what funnel we need to build you. But we can take input in terms of if you don't like a piece of the copy here or there or things like that. Anyway, we only give the client 48 hours to get back to us. That's deliberate. It might seem harsh, like, oh, I paid you, why only giving me 48 hours to get back? Well, like I told you, it's a production line. Things need to move forward. We need to keep the momentum going. It's better that we have something built out quickly and it's working to an extent than we waste 3 days because you haven't even taken the time to look at it and you've blocked your entire production line, and now it's going to add another week to getting this live, and then you're going to complain, oh, you didn't deliver in 30 days like you promised. Well, it's your fault, right? Sorry for going on a tangent, but my point is when we do the design, there's the handover and then there's the previews sent to the clients. Once that's approved, or if they don't approve and we give them 40 hours and they haven't done it, okay, boom, we're moving on to development. This is where everything gets built out now. Okay, so this is the development cycle. This is usually a 3-week cycle where everything's getting built, designed, not designed, designs are done, but it's being built, tested, automated, everything. And we're also doing QA testing and everything. With this one, there's no internal output. There's only an external output, which is like the live handover. So this is like, we'll tell the client, okay, here's everything done. This is the document saying what has been built and how to use it and everything, okay? So then this is actually a 30-day period from stage 2 to stage 4. So as soon as the game plan's green-lit and we get to building, this is a 30-day turnaround. So within 30 days, your system is live and running. Then we move the client to stage 5, which is accountability. Now this can be different, your mileage may vary, how you do it will obviously be different depending on your offer, but how we do it is we offer 30 days additional accountability. So what does that mean? It's 30 days to build your system and go live. And then we're staying on for an additional 30 days to coach you and make sure we're giving you accountability to make sure that the system and these funnels are running properly. So in total, the actual total engagement for our offer is a 60-day engagement. So in those 30 days, multiple things are happening. Coaching, what I mean by that, they get to jump on one-on-one calls with the different heads of departments. So myself, the founder, our head of sales, our head of marketing and ads, our head of strategy, our head of email deliverability and B2B outbound, our head of AI. So they're jumping on these calls to learn more about how they can use these systems to amplify these departments. And we're also analyzing the build we've done. So on the onboarding call up here, we take a baseline. Okay, this is how many leads you're currently getting. This is how many people are booking. This is how many people are no-showing. These are people showing up. These are the qualified leads showing up. This is your close rate. That's like the baseline we take on the onboarding. And then during this accountability session, at least in that 30-day period, at least 2 or 3 times we'll jump on a call where we're looking at now, we're measuring the baseline to what the new results are. So maybe the first week after we go live, we're probably not going to do that because we need things to kind of marinate and take their time to kind of get optimized. Then maybe the second week we'll have an accountability session. Maybe see, okay, these are your opt-in rates for this period of time. This is how your conversion rate has improved. This is how your show-ups have improved. This. Now, what we're doing here is we're also trying to find any leaks. Because if, for example, the show-up rates are good, the follow-up systems are good, leads are coming in, you're closing them when they do come in, what that tells us is our system is working well. But maybe if your bookings are very low, or you're not getting a lot of bookings, or the leads who are coming into your landing page is very low, that is not a back-end issue at all. That is a front-end issue. So that's an ads problem or organic problem, SEO problem, whatever it is. So what we do then is that, okay, now we look into that and we get our ads guy on that. And then we do an audit of like their ads, for example. And then we'll be like, okay, your ads are an issue. We need to run better ads for you. Now, what have we done in this accountability period? We have basically teased them into an upsell where we tell them, look, once we're done with this accountability, if you want, we can run your ads for you so we can fully optimize your system now. And most people will buy it, obviously. So this accountability period works as two things, really. That's why we've made it a 30-day period. The first one is obviously the coaching and the accountability. That on its own is value, huge value. We are looking at your systems, making sure we're fixing any bugs, making sure we're fixing issues, but we're also making sure that the system is working the way it should, and you're actually seeing results, and we're tweaking to make sure those results come through. And we're giving you coaching, which is extremely high value from a team like us, who's literally worked with billionaires like Vic Keller, right? You're learning from the ad specialists, our ad advisors. You're learning from our strategy advisors. You're learning from our AI advisors, our email, me, myself, and I, right? So that on its own is huge value that you're getting for free within the accountability month. But then on top of that, we're looking at where you may need more help, and we can offer you that help, right? Like the ads, or maybe everything is good, but you're not closing well because you're not good at closing. All right, we can put a salesperson in for you, okay? So that's what the accountability is for. It's for giving value, but then now starting to tease and drop the little upsells and what we can do. And then once the accountability is over, we move to stage 6. This is what we call the upsell stage. So in stage 6, the goal really is to either determine if this client is done working with you. If they're done, that's fine. You own everything when we finish the build. It's all yours to keep. We go our separate ways. But at this point, they should have been teased enough and had enough value that closing them on a ads retainer or a sales fulfillment performance retainer is not too difficult. And that's now how you scale the business, because you're not just getting more people into your pipeline, you're increasing the lifetime value of every single lead that does go through your pipeline. And that is where the magic sauce is. That's how you scale a business profitably, because actually the money you make, the profit, the good profits are not made in the production line for the front end offer. The good profits, the high profits are made in the back end when you sell the back end retainers and the back end offers. So that's a little insight into how we do it. And feel free to restructure this for your own offer. Or if you are interested in potentially getting advisory from me personally on how to do this for your business, then you can click the link below to schedule a time in my personal calendar. And we can chat and see if we can potentially even help you map this out and just do it for you as well. But other than that, hope you found this useful, and I will see you in the next one.